The Bold and the Beautiful, Brooke's bombshell and the heartbreaking betrayal the drama continues to unfold on The Bold and the Beautiful, where secrets, betrayal, and emotional turmoil dominate the lives of the central characters. The latest plot twist has left everyone in shock and disbelief as Brooke Logan uncovers a piece of damning evidence that could change everything between her, Taylor Hayes, and Ridge Forrester. The stakes have never been higher as Brooke presents a surveillance video that suggests Taylor might have gone to extreme lengths to sabotage her. With the trust between Ridge and Taylor unraveling, the question remains, who is really behind this dark conspiracy, and what will the fallout be for everyone involved? The shocking discovery, Brooke's near miss, and the evidence that changes everything. Brooke Logan's life has been filled with drama and betrayal, but nothing could have prepared her for the shocking discovery she made. It all started when Brooke's car nearly became the scene of a tragic accident. While preparing to drive, she decided to perform a routine check on her vehicle, something that, in hindsight, would save her life. To her horror, she discovered that the brake lines had been deliberately cut. Someone had sabotaged her car, setting her up for a potentially fatal accident. At first, Brooke was left rattled, trying to piece together who would want to harm her in such a cold and calculated way. However, it didn't take long for her to suspect someone close to her, the woman who had always been a thorn in her side, Taylor Hayes. Brooke, always vigilant about her relationships with Ridge and her family, could think of no one else who might have been behind the sabotage. She believed that Taylor, desperate to secure Ridge's love and fearing for her place in his life, was willing to go to extreme measures to remove her competition. Brooke's fears were confirmed when she discovered footage from a security camera at the parking garage, showing a woman wearing a mask and sneaking up to her car. The camera caught the masked figure clearly cutting the brake lines before swiftly leaving the scene. While Brooke could not see the woman's face, the suspicion in her heart led her to believe that it was Taylor. After all, who else could have had such a motive? This discovery sent Brooke into a spiral of shock and anger. It was one thing for Taylor to play mind games with her, but this was an entirely different level of malice. The fact that someone had tried to kill her, or at the very least, put her in harm's way, sent a chilling message. But Brooke wasn't the type to keep quiet, especially when it came to something so dangerous. She knew that the only way to address this situation was to bring the evidence to Ridge. Brooke confronts Ridge. The bombshell that shatters everything with the surveillance footage in hand, Brooke went straight to Ridge Forrester, hoping that he would support her and understand the gravity of the situation. She had hoped that Ridge would stand by her side and recognize the severity of what had happened, but nothing could have prepared her for the emotional roller coaster that followed. When Brooke showed Ridge the footage and told him about the attempted sabotage, she braced herself for his reaction. However, Ridge was not as sympathetic as she had hoped. Instead of immediately jumping to her defense, he seemed to hesitate, questioning the validity of the evidence and, most importantly, questioning Brooke's accusations. Although Ridge acknowledged the possibility of someone trying to hurt Brooke, his mind immediately went to one person, Taylor. Ridge's reaction was one of disbelief, not in the seriousness of the crime, but in his complete unwillingness to accept that Taylor could be the one responsible. Despite Brooke's insistence that Taylor was behind the attack, Ridge maintained that it couldn't have been her. His mind, clouded by his feelings for Taylor and his belief in her innocence, refused to accept that the woman he loved could ever stoop to such a low point. Brooke, devastated by Ridge's lack of trust in her, was left speechless. She had presented solid evidence, video footage that clearly showed a woman tampering with her car, but Ridge's loyalty to Taylor seemed to blind him to the reality of the situation. Brooke was left feeling betrayed, not just by Taylor, but by Ridge, the man she had always trusted. To have Ridge doubt her word in favor of his unwavering faith in Taylor was a devastating blow to Brooke. It was as if all the years of their shared history had been erased in a single moment of disbelief. Taylor's denial, A shattered trust as expected. When Ridge confronted Taylor about the allegations, her reaction was one of complete denial. She was shocked and horrified by the accusation, insisting that she had nothing to do with the incident. According to Taylor, she was completely innocent, and she had never intended to harm Brooke or anyone else. She insisted that the idea of sabotaging Brooke's car was beyond her, and she vehemently denied any involvement in such a heinous act. However, Ridge's skepticism towards Taylor was already apparent. Despite her denial, Ridge couldn't help but wonder if Brooke's suspicions might have some merit. Taylor's anger at the accusation only seemed to fuel his doubts. The woman he had been so certain of, who he believed was innocent and pure, now seemed to be a person who could potentially harm those around her to keep her place in his life. The emotional toll on Taylor was undeniable. She had always prided herself on being the more stable and emotionally grounded one in her relationships, but now she found herself at the center of a potentially devastating scandal. Ridge's refusal to believe in her innocence hurt more than anything else. Taylor had always trusted Ridge's judgment, but now, seeing him question her without any concrete evidence, she felt betrayed by the very man who had always supported her. Her heart ached as she realized that Ridge's unwavering trust in her might have been shaken by the very suspicion she had always feared. Taylor was caught in a vicious cycle. On the one hand, she had to defend her innocence, but on the other, she knew that any admission of guilt or knowledge about the sabotage would destroy everything she had worked so hard for. Ridge's growing doubt about her actions put immense pressure on Taylor, and the relationship that had once seemed so unbreakable was now teetering on the edge. Who is behind the sabotage? As the days passed, the mystery surrounding the sabotage deepened. While Brooke had her suspicions about Taylor's involvement, Ridge's refusal to believe her left them both in a state of uncertainty. It became clear that the tension between Ridge and Taylor had reached a boiling point, with no clear resolution in sight. The question now became, who was behind the sabotage if it wasn't Taylor? The possibility that someone else could be orchestrating this plot to tear apart Ridge and Taylor's relationship was increasingly likely. Was it someone with a vendetta against Brooke, or perhaps someone who was trying to destabilize Ridge's world for their own gain? At the same time, Brooke's frustration grew. The more she tried to prove the truth, the more Ridge seemed to doubt her. It was as if no matter how much evidence she presented, it would never be enough to break through the wall of loyalty that Ridge had built around Taylor. Brooke found herself questioning everything she thought she knew about Ridge and their future together. Could she continue to fight for their relationship, or was it time to accept that Ridge's allegiance to Taylor was more important than his relationship with her? The heartbreaking fallout. Can trust be repaired? The fallout from this latest revelation has only just begun. The emotional toll on everyone involved is immense, and the consequences will reverberate for a long time to come. For Brooke, the lack of trust from Ridge was a wound that would be difficult to heal. She had always believed that their bond was unbreakable, but now she found herself questioning if Ridge's loyalty to Taylor had finally taken precedence over their relationship. For Taylor, the betrayal and pain of Ridge's doubt were crushing. She had worked so hard to regain Ridge's trust, only to have it unravel in an instant. The emotional devastation was overwhelming, and she knew that her relationship with Ridge might never be the same again. As for Ridge, the decision to trust one over the other, Brooke or Taylor, was becoming increasingly difficult. The stakes had never been higher, and the damage caused by his indecision could have lasting effects on his relationships with both women. The pressure to choose between the two women he loved, and the shattered trust that followed, would test his heart in ways he never imagined. Conclusion. The path ahead, with the truth still elusive and the emotional fallout from Brooke's bombshell taking center stage, the question of who is really behind the sabotage remains unresolved. The delicate balance between Ridge, Taylor, and Brooke has been tipped into uncertainty, and no one can predict where the story will lead next. Will the truth finally come to light, and if it does, Will it be too late to repair the damage caused by doubt and betrayal? Only time will tell us. The bold and the beautiful continues to deliver drama, intrigue, and heartache in equal measure. The world of the bold and the beautiful has always been known for its dramatic twists, unexpected revelations, and tangled relationships. Yet, nothing quite compares to the chilling story of Luna Nozowa's supposed death and her subsequent return, which has left fans on the edge of their seats. The latest developments suggest that Lee Finnegan, the once stable matriarch, might have made a colossal mistake in her efforts to protect her family. Luna's recovery from what was believed to be a fatal condition and her re-emergence into the world, seemingly as dangerous as ever, threatens to shake everything to its core. The deception begins. Lee Finnegan's daring move. Lee Finnegan has always been portrayed as a loving, dedicated mother and grandmother. However, when her granddaughter, Luna Nozowa, fell into a deep and life-threatening condition, Lee took matters into her own hands. In a decision that many would consider morally ambiguous, Lee faked Luna's death to keep her away from the chaos of the outside world and, more importantly, to protect her family. The situation was dire, and Lee believed she was doing what was best for Luna and everyone involved. But little did she know, her actions would come back to haunt her. By pretending Luna had passed away, Lee was able to shield her from the harsh reality of the situation. What seemed like a noble sacrifice soon became a web of lies, with no one knowing the truth. The family, especially Luna's father, Dr. John Finnegan, believed the worst had happened. John, heartbroken and devastated, had come to terms with the idea of losing his daughter. He found comfort in the belief that Luna's suffering was over, but as the weeks went by, the truth was lurking just beneath the surface. As it turns out, Lee's secret was a dangerous one. Luna had not died. Instead, she was alive, recovering slowly under Lee's care, her mind still fractured and unstable. While most of the world believed that Luna's torment was over, it was only just beginning. The shocking return. Luna Nozowa comes back to life after weeks of isolation. Something unexpected happened. Luna Nozowa began to regain consciousness. The young woman, once thought to be lost forever, woke up with a renewed sense of life. However, her recovery did not mean that her mental state had healed. Far from it. Luna's mind remained fractured, her delusions unshaken. Her obsession with Will Spencer Jr., a relationship that had been unhealthy and dangerous from the start, continued to consume her thoughts. Despite her recovery, Luna's behavior was still erratic. The moment she opened her eyes, her first words were a rambling dream about Will Spencer Jr., a clear sign that her obsession had not waned. It was a devastating blow to Lee, who had hoped that the time spent in seclusion might have given Luna a chance to recover mentally. But it seemed that her grip on reality was tenuous at best, and her dangerous tendencies remained unchecked. Luna's return to the world was nothing short of a ticking time bomb. After weeks of being hidden away, she was finally free to roam, to cause chaos once again. The streets of Los Angeles, once a safe haven for those in her life, would soon become a battlefield as Luna's unstable mind drove her to make decisions that no one could predict. Will Spencer Jr. and Electra Forrester, a couple in danger. The most immediate consequence of Luna's return was the threat she posed to Will Spencer Jr. and his girlfriend, Electra Forrester. Will, having no idea that Luna was still alive and roaming free, found himself in grave danger. Luna's obsession with him had been well known, but with her sudden reappearance, Will was once again a target for her erratic behavior. Electra, knowing the dangers of Luna's instability, was forced to live with one eye open, constantly on guard against the unpredictable threat that Luna posed. What made things even more dangerous was the fact that Luna had no regard for the consequences of her actions. As far as she was concerned, she had a right to be with Will, and no one would stand in her way. It didn't take long for Luna to make her presence known. Her erratic behavior and growing obsession with Will soon became impossible to ignore. For Electra, every moment became a fight for survival as she tried to protect the man she loved from the psychotic grip of Luna. Lee Finnegan's role in the chaos, the ultimate responsibility as the chaos unfolded. One thing became clear: Lee Finnegan was responsible for the nightmare that was unfolding before her. No one knew that Luna was alive, and therefore no one knew the extent of the danger she posed. The entire situation had been a ticking time bomb, and Lee was the one who had set it in motion. If Luna caused harm again, and many believed she would, the blame would squarely fall on Lee's shoulders. She had kept the truth hidden for far too long, and now the consequences of her actions were becoming impossible to ignore. Even Sheila Carter, a character no stranger to manipulation and deceit, had recognized Luna's dangerous potential. In fact, Sheila had to step in and take action to protect an innocent person from Luna's violent tendencies. If Luna hurt someone again, it was clear that no one could protect her from the fallout of her actions. Lee had hoped to protect her family by concealing Luna's survival, but in doing so, she had created an even bigger threat. If Luna killed someone again, whether it was Will, Electra, or someone else entirely, there would be no one to blame but Lee herself. She had crossed a line, and now she had to face the consequences of her own choices. Sheila Carter, a dangerous ally in the shadows in the midst of the growing chaos, another player emerged: Sheila Carter. Known for her manipulative and cunning nature, Sheila was well aware of Luna's instability and the dangerous consequences of her actions. When Luna's behavior began to spiral out of control once again, Sheila recognized that she had to intervene. While her motivations may have been driven by self-preservation, Sheila's involvement in the situation became a significant factor in the unfolding drama. Sheila's intervention was swift and decisive. She knew that Luna's behavior could not be allowed to go unchecked, and she was not about to let her niece's mental instability destroy everything she had worked for. Sheila took matters into her own hands, trying to prevent a tragedy from occurring. But the question remained: would Sheila's interference make the situation better or worse? As Luna's obsession with Will continued to grow, and as her delusions became more dangerous, Sheila's actions would either save or further complicate the lives of everyone involved. Would her intervention lead to a resolution, or would it only add fuel to the fire? The final showdown: what's next for Luna, Lee, and the rest of the family? With Luna's mental state deteriorating, and with Lee's deception beginning to unravel, it seems inevitable that a major showdown is on the horizon. Will Luna's actions lead to more bloodshed? Can Lee redeem herself, or will she be forced to face the consequences of her dangerous decisions? And what role will Sheila play in the outcome? The situation is fraught with tension, and it seems that no one will come out of this unscathed. As Luna continues to pose a threat to those around her, the question on everyone's mind is whether Lee can regain control of the situation before it spirals even further out of her hands. The drama is only beginning to unfold, and the lives of everyone involved are at stake. One thing is certain: the bold and the beautiful has never been more thrilling.